Hi, my name's Sam Sluis with Mytra Consulting. And why do companies turn to Mytra for consulting help? People turn to us because we have a rich background of experience with very different exposures to this industry. So I spent 15 years working in joint use and distribution engineering. Started off in the field when I was in college as an intern and kind of worked my way through developing a small company. We took it from about 5 people all the way up to about 70 people. Had an incredible growth, really learned the industry inside and out, worked with a lot of really good partners. Typically, I work with electric utilities, both IOUs and REMCs or RECCs, rural electric co-ops. I also work with those engineering vendors and the ILECs and CLECs that are applying for attachments on these poles. And what are some of the biggest challenges that utilities and vendors face today? I think one of those big challenges is working through the communication struggles and the different interests from the different stakeholders in the process. The pole owner and the applying company can really help solve some of those bound up issues inherent to the system. What I'll do is I'll come in, take a look at your operations, meet your team, look at the different stakeholders who are engaging in this process, be it internally at your utility or externally through an applying utility that is seeking access to your poles. We'll take a look at how those proposals come in, how your team reviews these proposals, and take it from that stage to say, hey, how do we get feedback to that applying company? Are we looking at the engineering internally? Are we using a vendor? What does that process look like? How do we step from project coming in through engineering and review to communication back to the proposing company? We look for inefficiencies internally. We look for inefficiencies externally. Getting in to know what your specific needs are helps me tailor a better solution to you. And what are some of the technologies and tools out in the marketplace that you can leverage for better success in your joint use process? I've worked with Catapult, All-in-One, Ike Pro, OCalc, SpiderCalc, many different softwares that help with engineering and offer more. So you might be using one tool, but you might not be maximizing that full value of said tool. So how can I come in, take a look at how you're implementing these tools and see where we can get additional value, or identify areas where tools exist that you haven't implemented yet. Spending time on the front end to do better processes, better training will save you in the long run. What can companies do to improve their post-inspection workflows? Post-inspections are critical to making sure this plant, when it gets built, is built correctly, it's built safely, and that all the required work has been completed. To improve these workflows, the most important thing is creating that process, making sure that your teams are visiting poles in an efficient way, that you're scheduling field work efficiently, that communication is happening. What I've seen a lot of times is the utility will go out, they'll look at these poles, perform the post inspection, and the communication company hasn't even been out there to touch the poles. They have a certain amount of days in which they need to build by. And a lot of times they've submitted so many polls and they've got so many approvals back that they haven't worked out a good system to build in an organized way. So you'll go out, the timelines will be over, you'll review these polls, and nothing will have been done. How do you increase and facilitate good communication with these utilities to make them understand that when they propose polls, they get these polls back, they need to build with these timelines that you state, and they need to communicate if they need extensions. They need to communicate if that work is done or if that work has been pulled. Sometimes because of other factors outside of your purview on these builds, they might push all of this underground. And if that doesn't get communicated back to your team, how do you effectively do a post inspection on those poles? If you're waiting for them to build, they've canceled that build. It's tough if there's no communication. I think that's where we can step in, help create good, clean communication, good, clean processes that we can explain to all the interested parties and facilitate better, cleaner work on post inspections. And then from there, we can dive in a little deeper with your team and say, hey, how are we scheduling these? How do we organize if your area's large? If you're covering 3 counties, how are we spreading out engineers? Can they hit these when they're also working in other new build areas, when they're doing pole data collection, maybe for rot inspection? Can we create a cohesive system that maximizes what you're already doing in the field to complete these post inspections? And I think once we sit down and talk through these things with your team, we can really build a good plan moving forward. And here are a few of the things that I like to consult on. I enjoy working with stakeholders to bring creative solutions, to bring efficiency, and help clear up communication concerns and issues. I'm looking forward to partnering with your team to address any concerns you have in the joint use space or the distribution engineering space.